कुछ साल पहले जब मैं तुनिसिया में एक सफर के लिए I forgot I was going to start in Hindi, but I practice anyway. So a few years ago, I decided to go on a road trip in Tunisia to create art pieces in the most random places of the country. I never thought this artistic journey will make me discover so much human stories, history, culture, heritage about my own country. So the initial idea was just to highlight some beauty and diversity of the country at a time just after the revolution where all the attention was focused on political issue. So I just used art as a pretext to take this journey. So I learned that during the French protectorate, Jeddah used to be one of the wealthiest cities of Tunisia because of the steel industry. It used to be called Le Petit Paris because of the European architecture and the diversity of the community living in this city at this time. Some old man told me that actually the steel of Jara is the one that built the Eiffel Tower in Paris. So publicly today I can say that the Eiffel Tower is Tunisian. I remember entering a small town called Jeddah where I immediately spotted a wall that I wanted to paint. So I went to a cafe where I saw some guys and I asked, guys, is it okay for me to paint this wall? And some guys say, yeah, it's my house, so no worries, go for it. And then when I was in the middle of the process, this old man came to me, yelling at me, telling me, what are you doing? Do you think I'm dead for you to paint in my house? And I was confused. I was like, this guy told me that was his house. And he said, no, this is mine, you need to erase that right now. So I told him, please, let me just finish, I take a picture, and then I erase it. So he agreed on that. And actually, when I was almost done, he sent his nephew to me, telling me that actually his uncle liked the piece and he wanted to keep it. Yeah. So it's interesting to see how people are sensitive to art, and how you can easily switch perception or open a dialogue or just connect with people. In this trip, imagine we got arrested by the army. And after a while explaining the purpose of the project, the captain of the army loved the idea and said, guys, I'm getting married in a few days in this city. And actually that was the city we're planning to go. So that was kind of amazing. When you create something inside the community, you bring out this feeling of pride. And that's how it's easy to connect with people. I remember this man telling me that sometimes you need somebody from outside to tell you how beautiful you are. And I want today, to keep doing this, to show the beauty of people and community that I visit, show the beauty of different culture, and being able, to keep doing what I do. It might sound weird to you, but Arabic script, despite all the misconception and stereotype attached to it, is the medium that I use to connect with people. It was all born out of identity crisis. I was born and raised in France from Tunisian parents, so when I was a teenager, I felt that I have to make a choice between my French or my Tunisian identity. I ran into my Arabic roots, so I started learning how to read and write Arabic at the age of 18. And later on, I realized that actually that was a mistake. I didn't have to make any choice. And ironically, Arabic calligraphy later on made me accept my French identity and claim it. So I try to go beyond all the stereotype attached to my culture. I use Arabic script as a tool to build bridges between community, people, generation, and culture. And I try to spread respect, tolerance, and acceptance amongst communities as well. And I always insist on the fact that Arabic script has this universal dimension, universal beauty that you don't need to translate. Anybody, it has a power that anybody can feel. Good or bad, no one is insensitive to it. There is, like any form of art, there is different layer of looking at my pieces. The first layer is the aesthetic, is what catches the attention of people. The other layer are the messages and the political or social context where I'm creating my art piece. Writing messages is the essence of my artwork. I always write messages that are relevant to the place where I'm painting, but messages that have this universal dimension so anybody around the world can relate to it. You know, Arabic script is easily recognizable, and it's funny to see how people are intrigued by it at the beginning, but as soon as you explain the meaning behind it, they feel connected to the piece. So I decided actually to use art as a way for me to enter places and communities that most of the people would tell me not to go. For example, in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, I went to Vidigal Favela where I painted this rooftop. I used the word of a Brazilian poet that I translated from Portuguese to Arabic. And this wall today disappeared, it was erased. But what is interesting is the story behind it. I tried to reach this woman while I was in Brazil. I couldn't get in touch with her, but somebody, a friend of mine, managed to find her and show her the piece of art and told her the story. And then she reached me on Facebook to thank me. And I was really touched by her small message. I remember in Melbourne, this 8-year-old girl, she took my hand while I was painting and she told me, I would like to talk to you in private. So she took me and we sat on some stairs and then she said, you know, I want to become an artist like you. I love animals, I love nature. And
Delhi whoop, I see. Who's from another city in somewhere outside of...
And she asked me to keep it with her so I can always remember her. And I pray that one day, maybe in 20 years, I will see her and she will be like a, you know, like an established artist. And actually, I kept my promise. I always have like this little piece on my wallet. So for me, art is just a pretext to create human experience, to connect with people. And I think sometimes I leave something in people's life, but actually they are the one who leave something in mine. And I think all those lines that I create are just a continuity of all those human experiences. A few months ago, I went to one of the most amazing places I ever visited in my life called Manshiat Nasser, which is the neighborhood of the Cairo garbage collector in Egypt. When I tell you garbage, you must ask yourself what can be amazing about a garbage city. So this Coptic Christian community have been collecting the garbage of Cairo for decades, and they developed one of the most powerful recycling systems on a global level. But still, this community is seen as dirty, marginalized, and segregated because of their association with trash. So when you enter the neighborhood, there's the smell of the garbage, the noise, everything is overbearing, but it looks chaotic, but everything is perfectly organized. So my initial idea was just an artistic challenge. I wanted to challenge myself by creating an anamorphic piece that you can fully see from one point of view, like when you climb the Muqattam mountain, this mountain that overlooks the neighborhood. So fast enough, I realized that it was not about this artistic challenge. It was more about creating this human experience and connecting actually with this community that had so misconception about. So it took us 1 year to plan the whole project and almost a month to create the art piece. It was difficult. There was like, thank you. Thank you. So there was like fear, like deep doubt and difficulties, fears and stress. It was not easy at all to work in such an environment. You know, sometimes like having pigs under you because they're like originally pigs breeders, so you have pigs under you while you paint, or you need to climb a stack of garbage to get on the lift. But you forget about all those difficult conditions because of the kindness of all those people. You know, in every floor that we were reaching with those lifts, somebody was opening their window, offering us a cup of tea. So imagine like when you have like a 5-story building, you need to drink 5 cups of tea because in Egypt, you cannot say no to tea. And I think like it took us like 3 weeks, or more than 3 weeks to finish, but it could have gone faster if we didn't took all those tea breaks. So imagine you go at somebody's house, you knock at his door, and you say, hey, can you serve me a cup of water? And today you will give me like a can of soda. And next week you will invite me to your house to have lunch with you. And after 2 weeks, we're going to play soccer and then go to your cousin's wedding. And after like a month, you will cry when I will leave. The guy will look at you and say, you're crazy. But if you go to somebody's house and you say, look, I'm an artist, I would like to paint the facade of your building. So the first day he will offer you like a cup of tea. And then after a week, he will invite you to his house. And then after 2 weeks, you're gonna play soccer with him, and and then maybe also go to his family's wedding. And yes, and then when you leave, actually, he might cry, and this is exactly what happened.
عيالي بيحبوكم جامد.
احنا كمان
بأمانة فوزي
نفس الإحساس.
يا نبيل
So it was not about actually this. It was not about like just an art project. It was more like a project to question our level of misconception and judgment we can have upon communities that we don't know. You know, today actually this piece is starting disappearing because some people are building floors in front of the art piece, and my art by essence is ephemeral. You know, most of the pieces that I created all around the world has disappeared. But what lives inside me and most of the people that I met are all those little stories and memories that I witness, you know, as a human being, and I'm able to share with you today. Thank you.